Welcome to Socializing Security, where every week we have a discussion about security, compliance, and beyond.
Our goal is to learn and grow by socializing each week's topic with each other, our guests, and with you.
A quick compliance note, this podcast is meant for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal or regulatory advice.
We're glad you've joined us, and we hope you'll learn along with us.
All right, who wants to start with introductions? Should we have Karen kick it off because she was the first to attend? Also, Karen, you and I both have pink hair right now, and I am obsessed with your hair. It looks incredible.
Perfect. So I'm Karen Lopez. I'm based in Toronto. I consider my specialization data security, privacy, and compliance implementation. So I'm not an attorney or anything. I just focus on how teams should actually now go and do that stuff. And I'm founder. My company's about 30 years old. It's been through lots of different phases. So I've had employees and staff. Right now I don't because I'm kind of cruising towards retirement. So I'm in the best world of it.
That sounds amazing. Gene, why don't you go next?
Sure. I am very envious, Karen. Nice to meet you. I am not cruising towards retirement. I am at the peak of and driving real strong for the next 40 years. So excited. My name is Dr. Gene Holloway. I am a data analytics type person, have my own LLC in which I usually work with organizations on looking at how their data can drive success and inform how they are successful in the future. So I also work in HR for an organization focusing on assessing organizational culture. What does that mean? Helping them to look at remote hybrid work. How do we transition, make the difference, and how do we get the most productivity out of our employees, contractors, that kind of stuff. So all things data analytics is me. Glad to meet everyone.
Great. Thanks, Gene. And Marion, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. My name is Marion Newsom. I'm the founder of Ethical Tech Matters. We are an AI governance, privacy, and security firm. We are focused on the high-risk AI for high-risk industries. I have over 18 years of experience in privacy, security, worked in infrastructure, and I'm just glad to be a part of the panel. And I'm also co-host of the Tech Auntie's podcast with Gina. So my partner in crime is also here.
Yeah, this is our preview mashup that I've been wanting to do for 2 years now.
So excited. Go ahead, Gina.
Keep going.
I founded a fractional product marketing agency. I basically help B2B technology companies figure out how to talk about their products and how to bring them to market and work in the AI, cloud, and security space with those teams. And I do too. I have a long background as a practitioner, sysadmin, and doing security. I have missed a couple of DEF CONs, but I'd like to go to DEF CON every year. It's one of my favorite conferences.
Cool. Do you want to introduce yourself one last time?
Sure, for sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mulu Lammers. I am the founder of Compliance Council, a consulting firm where we're really specializing on the strategic implementation of compliance programs for startups, as well as I do have a complementary sister law firm called Cyber Counsel, where I actually, suddenly I hit a point where it's no longer consulting and it's really legal work. And so that really comes in for like technology contracts and investigations, as well as work related to, helping them really like understand where their contracts go, and especially on the privacy side. So it's a fine balance. I do have a couple of other entities, one of which I co-founded with Brian Knutson. So we do have a podcast together called Socializing Security, and it's our passion project that keeps us up late editing sometimes.
Yep. And as Milo said, I'm Brian Knudsen. I will be kind of moderating with all these. I technically have my own LLC, but I don't really do much with it other than the occasional contract work that I do with different tech companies, just usually writing projects or creative type projects like that. But right now working on the vendor side, so I don't really get a chance to do that much anymore. But yes, do also co-own a business that we use for socializing security. So I guess technically I am a startup founder.
Yes, you are. A proud one too. I'm going to convince you that you can proudly say that you're a podcaster. 'Cause apparently he's embarrassed about that.
I just
That's
I just need one of these startups to actually make money. That's the thing.
yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you all for joining. This is going to be a rambunctious group. I know several of you already, so I've met all of you at least once.
I think a lot of us are also on Tech Field Day. So a
Yes.
lot of us are
Yes.
Tech Field Day
Yep,
alums.
there's a strong Tech Field Day group here too. So let's start with the security space because that is an area I care about a lot. But several of you mentioned as well. More specifically, not just how do I create a startup in the security space, but how do I stay secure as a startup is really my question. And what really goes into this is the fact that like when you start a business, you're usually by yourself. And that means you're the CEO, but you're also the CMO and you're the chief revenue officer. And one thing that people don't always think about is you also have to be the CIO and be the CISO and be in charge of all the technology as well as making sure it's secure. And so with all those hats on at the same time, it's impossible to do all of them as well as you possibly can. So I'm curious, as all of you have started your businesses as they've, changed over the years, where you kind of prioritize security, the thought process that goes into what you can and can't do as you go along with that, and just to better understand kind of how that fits in with everything else. Gina, I think I'll start with you.
Oh, great.
You're the DEF CON one, so you've thought about this a lot,
Do
right?
you bring your phone with you to DEF CON?
Last couple of years I have, but I'm very careful about where I have it on and when
Yeah.
I turn it all the way off. Um, I think the way I've approached security, and I do a lot of writing and I do a lot of, I always sign NDA with clients because I have a bunch of different ones. And a lot of times they're talking to me about their strategy and they want me to help them with strategy. And so uh, I always sign NDAs. That's number one. But I kind of keep the documentation that I write for them, everything else. I've kind of taken the same view as, how you're supposed to keep your finances completely separate and kind of not pierce the veil or whatever it is the lawyers say. I think that's what they say. But to keep it as its own kind of little entity. So one of the things I've done is, I use Office 365. I also kind of use Google Workspace, but I lock those down. So I know how to lock those down. It's still a big pain because everything changes every 5 seconds, all the rest of it. But I make sure, my client stuff stays in one place. I make sure no one has access to it but me. I'm in the process now of starting to think through how I'm going to start from clients I had from the very beginning. So I've been around about 6.5 years. Clients I have from the very beginning that I don't really work with them anymore. What do I do with the content that I had, and how do I kind of lessen my discoverability or my blast zone if God forbid something bad happened? So that's probably the most I've thought about content wise, keeping it all in one place, keeping it organized. Same with, I guess that's why I have, I have an LLC that's my resale business, which is not tech, so we won't talk about it. But then also I have mine is an S corp, so there's all sorts of rules around that, and I find the rules helps me. Okay, that's what I'm supposed to do and not supposed to do. Cool, I'll do it that way. I also have a good team. I have a very good tax person, a very good accountant, because I'm not the best at those things and they beat me up and make me pay things on time. So I think, you have to have people help you unless that's literally something you're doing. If I was a tax advisor, I'd probably do my own, but like I can't do all of those things because, Chat GPT can only do so much. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that for me, that's how I try to keep things all together.
Yeah. I'll leave it open for the rest if you want to jump in. I keep going around robin. We'll take forever on every single question.
I have an
Yeah.
insight. So when I
Yeah.
first started 30 years ago, my whole attitude was be thrifty, be very thrifty. And I kind of mean miserly, but thrifty was my go-to word. And so I did everything on my own. I ran servers in my home, Exchange servers, web servers, community forum servers. And now we fast forward to these days. And of course, there wasn't the cloud. There wasn't a lot of online. There wasn't, hosted exchange then. Fast forward to 30 years. I don't want anything here. I don't want other than on my one work device. My data is someplace where they have actual, real physical security, where they actually have good monitoring tools, and then I can leverage the monitoring tools. So what I used to say to people was, especially people starting their business, is spend some money on tools, like 20% on tools, and 80% of your investment should be not being catastrophically stupid when it came to security. So now it's kind of like, yes, don't be stupid, but don't offset them with each other. I now say, let someone else do the things that you're not good at, because it only takes, losing one customer data set. You could lose your contract. You could lose everything. So that's where I am now.
So I would agree with that because a lot of the clients that I work with, they actually have regulatory protected data. They have people's really special PI data. And so when I started in this space, I too thought, oh, I'll just stay up all night and do it all. Well, that's impossible. And so with my clients, I really do sign NDAs. Also, we try to use VPN, VDI into their environments. So their data stays on their servers. For my own personal IP, I do take, I'm a little bit paranoid, of course, because I'm in the cyberspace, but I do take precautions with my own data, especially my IP, that it's not being trained on in some AI or out somewhere I know is not secure.
That's a
I
good
think it
point.
really depends on your industry too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Gene, that you kind of come from a different industry than the rest here, so curious kind of how you
Yeah.
dig through those types of things.
So yes and no. So when in my federal work that I've done, so I've always had my LLC the last 8 years, and then which is my independent consulting, which is fun. And then my federal work. And my federal work, dealing with cloud and lots of security stuff. So it's usually on the VPN. It's very protective of NIPR. So I'm very familiar with those. And then so as in I go back to if I do independent work as a contractor for like a federal contractor or an agency, I'm very familiar with how they run things and do things. On my independent side, I do keep things very, very private. Lots of NDAs signed every single time, and just making sure my NDAs are very thorough. Like what some others said, I wanted to make sure that I knew how to do everything that like a lawyer would know. So the last 5 years, I really educated myself on all the legal jargon, understood everything. I do all of my accounting and my taxes myself. And I did that also in order to teach people to be how to be independent consultants. And there's just a lot of work that goes into it. And it's great to have lawyers. I have friends that are, but I also wanted people to know how to do that and understand that lingo. And so I'm very savvy about that because I really educated myself on that.
Well, I don't mind putting myself on blast a little bit. So, I've worked in-house for startups, right? And lean, scrappy startups. And I was very fortunate within my career to basically work for a startup and tap out. And then I would, I wanted harder data or wanted a more challenging thing. And so for me, I was really chasing okay, I did this level of data and now I need to go do something different. And fortunately, those opportunities came easily. The funny thing is I used to, I've, for the most part, I've always reported to the founders, directly, or the CEO. And I used to just walk in and I was like, why is this such a mess? I remember being yo, the things I've seen too, my goodness. And they would be like, well, we just didn't have time. And I remember being like, come on, y'all, no, this, I can say now, I am a hot mess right now from the way my organizations are structured and the things that are happening. I mean, my team will be the first to know. I purchased I upgraded my work phone and I was like, oh great, I'm gonna get a nice new phone. I've been locked out of this work phone for 2 months. It is effectively stupider than my Motorola Pebble was when it was my first phone. I got this brand new iPhone that I literally can't even enroll in my own mobile device management system because apparently it's really hard to actually verify your business as a company of one employee with Apple. So it's luckily we just found out. I think I'm clear. So I think this weekend I can finally actually enroll my device in my own mobile device management system. But I am trying, because I work with government contractors and companies that want to do things like FedRAMP and are doing some of the most like challenging security standards. I've been holding myself to a harder standard, because if my Slack instance isn't GovCloud, or my, my, like, any of the tools that I'm using, if they're not at those levels inherently, then my own clients can't actually feel safe to put those things in. And I will say that's a hard thing as a startup. It's significantly more expensive. It is building the ability for me to be like, no, actually, like, I want my own tooling. Like, I'm going to hold myself to these own standards that I'm auditing against for my clients, because like, it's one thing for them to say they're SOC 2 or HIPAA, but it's a very other thing for all of their providers to be the same. And so I'm really treating this as I've had tough conversations when I was in-house with some of their vendors, being like, hey, we're going to have to break up with them unless they go do XYZ thing. And so for me, that's not something, but it means, y'all, right now, like, man, I'm embarrassed by my own infrastructure and the way that things are set up. So there is a huge room for improvement. And I do feel like I owe some of my past bosses an apology for calling them out on it being so messy.
You're getting content by your words.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too. I mean, a lot I do is I use generative AI a lot, since I'm doing, marketing or remarketing and that kind of thing. And it's an extra cost to make sure that you're using a tool that you're sure that all of the queries you have and all the content you're creating is private and remains private. I actually have one client that gave me an email address because they wanted me to use their tools, which is fine. And that's really a mess too. Like having a different, I do it with Google accounts, I'll say, for this account, for this, but it's hard making having a different browser for each thing and using a different email. It's a lot, but it's what the clients want. And it's kind of important to be able to be flexible like that to help them fulfill their security requirements and feel secure working with you.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, like Mila's story, not everything goes to plan. Sometimes things just go sideways, and instead of being an easy thing to solve, or a security incident that gets in the way of you doing, either way, they're getting in the way of doing the job that ultimately you started the business to want to do. Whether that's consulting with somebody, whether that's writing a paper, um, whatever reason you got into it with that client. Now a wacky phone problem with MDM, or a intrusion into your storage system, are now causing you to have to spend less time doing the actual work you can bill for. Curious if any of you have any stories around that, how you've dealt with that, and advice that you might have for other founders that are looking to do the same thing. No stories?
I think Marion's gonna jump in.
I'm waiting for someone else to go first.
Okay.
No, it's all you.
So yes, I have had that experience where I go in and my vision is quite clear what the solution should be. I'm thinking, oh, it's a straight line. I can see A to B, and it turns into some infinite loop that I keep going around and around, and I can't find the exit for. So I think as a founder, you have to be very flexible in fulfilling the client's needs, but also with your vision. You have to really be clear on what the scope is, what you're doing, what your business is about, what you're providing to the client, what's out of scope. But then you have to be very flexible using the solutions that they may have. You have to be innovative to be able to adapt to a lot of different situations. But I have had those situations where I'm looking and I'm thinking, there's a solution right there. It's A to B. And I'm just like in a loop due to the client's demands.
It's just me with my iPhone right now.
I
I
have
started
experienced
crying at the
a
Apple
lot.
Store recently, so
I've experienced a lot too. About the last third of my career, I've been focusing on turning around troubled projects that are focused on trouble with the data. That also means I'm exposed to teams and projects where, let's say, they don't have a lot of expertise outside of the development tools they use. And it's really hard. First of all, I'm brought in usually by the executives because, and when I say troubled, I don't mean late. I mean, they're going to get $1 million a month penalty until they fix this. So very troubled projects.
Yeah.
The other things, expert witness in a court case, all kind of the same stress and tense. and I have to tell the developers, your baby's ugly, but that's okay. We can fix it. And here's what we need to do. But one of your problems was you didn't spend enough time thinking and planning and evaluating and doing inventories and doing risk assessment. And you totally don't understand what's the sensitive data, what data needs to be classified. You have no concept of privacy, anti-spam. And I'm not an expert in any of those. I just have implemented them a lot. And it's a battle because I guess as one client told me, Karen, you're just paranoid. You think someone wants our data. No one will want our data. And I'm like, I can't even spend the 2 days that I'd have to explain to you why all data is valuable. And you're saving credit card numbers. And by the way, you shouldn't be saving them, and all this stuff. And so one of the hardest thing I think about, helping companies deal with security issues or governance issues even are things they have to value something other than speed of coding. The teams need to. And one of the things I tell executives is you're actually telling your teams to do exactly the opposite. So you're telling your security teams and your data teams, protect the data, don't get us jail, don't do any of this stuff. But you're telling developers, ignore everything, be super agile, be MVP, just deliver code as fast as you can. And those two things are in conflict. So I feel like half of my job on these turnaround things is convincing management that they clear in what goals they made.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Karen, it's where, right? They don't even know where the data is. They don't know if it's
Oh,
in
yeah.
the U.S. They have no idea about cross-border transfers. A lot of times it's
Exactly.
just where.
Yeah, data governance, that's what it is.
Know what you have so you can protect it.
Yeah, you can't protect what you don't know you have.
You don't, yeah.
Which now I kind of understand why we don't know what we have. If I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm in my own tangle of like, because there was a phase where I was so busy that I was like, oh, I gotta get this thing and I gotta get this thing. And now I'm like, oh shoot, I need to pare back those things and figure out where those things are. I'm also unfortunately in 2 cloud environments, which like I've got to break that. I'm in Google and I'm in Microsoft. And I also, like Gina, I get most of my clients give me emails. And so I'm also in their email. Like, my goodness, the likelihood that I'm missing things is very high.
Very high. I actually I don't have anybody working for me now. I hired somebody part-time to do the cleanup of the files for me and to rationalize it and to get most of them into Office 365 and then temporarily have files in Google Drive, Google Workspace until we completed it and then bring it back over. So I could never get to it. I actually has it's an intern level kind of thing, but it's very helpful to give somebody professional experience and somebody that's eager to do it and like, oh, cool. You're great.
Yeah.
A data custodian.
Yeah,
Like
you need
that.
it worked really well though. For me, it's really interesting because my dealing with marketing, um, uh, for a time, I was like, I had one client that kept expanding what they wanted me to do, and I do product marketing, which is really more on the side of strategy, like how are we going to bring everything together? But they really wanted me to run ads and do that kind of thing, and they didn't have any kind of, when you go to a website nowadays, you have to say, do you want these cookies? Because if anybody from California or anybody from the EU looks at it, there's all sorts of trouble you can get in if you don't, if you don't give them that option. So and then I had to learn about that. And then it just turned into this ever expanding thing, which was not what I did. I'm not a digital marketer. I'm not one of these growth marketers that's going to track down where every little click came from. What's it going to do? So I think there's a lesson I learned there was, yeah, that's not what I do. I ended up there partnering with somebody that was very, very good at it, and he was able to run with that, which was great. But I think there's part of the relationship with your clients, which is a lesson I learned hard in that particular case. You have to say, like, here's what I can do. I'll find someone for you to partner with. We can collaborate together, but this is what I'm comfortable with. Because when you think about all of the regulations there are on selling stuff on the web, even if it's services or, it's not, you're not doing a transactional B2C type of thing, but there's a lot of things you have to know about gathering people's information to create call lists and those kind of things that I don't know. I'm not sure I care about it. I know I'm supposed to know, but I don't market that way. And I certainly don't think I should be in the business of really helping other people to do it. But I know a lot of people that do a really great job at that. They're freaking experts. So
Well, and
it's a partnership.
what I've seen is a lot of those types of partnerships between different founders. So,
Yeah.
you know, you don't do compliance, but you know somebody that does compliance that would be great. I can make an introduction,
Yeah.
make that connection. Like this networking of founders I found is some of the most amazing people because they're those people that can go out and do that one specialty kind of on their own, know just enough of everything adjacent to it that when they get asked to do that, they can be like, I can, but you don't want me to. You want this other person to do
That's
it for you.
exactly it. You have to say that and not let your relationship with a client, let's say, oh, okay, I'll do it for you this time. Because
It's never just once.
it's never just once and you're not good enough at it. I wasn't anyways to do it. So it's always better to go find the right person and to have those relationships and collaborations.
For sure. Gene, it sounds like that's an experience you've had as well.
Yeah, thank you for seeing my nonverbals and my verbals and hearing my verbals. As Brian was saying, I definitely make those connections also with other experts. So my focus is more on growth and strategy. So, I had a client one time that I had up to 40 subcontractors that are working with me on a project in 40 different languages. So that was very interesting of how to regulate all of that. Where I really came in is that the people who were making sure that things were private and security, they did their part very well, but then I always looked at in comparison to their competitor, like their product was terrible. So they might be very secure in how they do things, but how they're actually getting that service and their product out to their clients is terrible, right? So my goal would be like, okay, finding all the little nicks and cracks in their actual website in how they're running things to actually give them recommendations and then have my team come in there and clean that up, working together with the people who were making sure that things were were secure. So it's interesting to make sure we keep that in mind too, is that their competitor is their product or what they're trying to do, how they're going to continue to grow and give those recommendations to them. That's what I kind of focus my work on most of the time.
Yeah, a lot of adjacencies in there for sure. One thing I heard previously was around the, talking to clients about the importance of making the right decisions. Speed to coding was the phrase I specifically wrote down. And I know all of you as founders have to deal with tons of different decisions every single day, having to you know prioritize work, quite frankly, triage, if you will, because something's not going to happen. You got 10 different things, and I only got time to do 9 different things. And so I'm curious how you go about that decision making, how you communicate that to your clients and the people that potentially, hey, I'm going to be delayed on this, or hey, I'm not going to be able to finish this piece of it. Obviously, pitching it to another founder, another company that can handle that work is a good way to get out of that. But you still have to start that conversation with the client. And any decisions that you had to make where you had to, and I've watched Milo enough through this process to know that sometimes you've got to invest in yourself and you got to say, I'm going to take this whole day and I'm going to throw a conference because I think this is an important thing to do. And all of a sudden that means that, you're not billing today.
True.
And
True.
this didn't happen in one day either. So maybe I will start with you since I called you out. Like, how do you decide through all those things as to what to really focus your time on and when to jettison some work?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this, honestly. And again, I'm open to the fact that I am a really risky startup and I'm figuring it out as I go. I'm also going through a lot in my personal life. I'm getting divorced, and so that's also like super draining. And like also made my whole risk profile really riskier. And so like there's a lot of other things that like I'm trying to be open about it, about being like, hey, like, my clients are aware that there were some personal things happening, so that they were aware that I was like, hey, if I have to cancel meetings, like please know that I'm working my butt off on the weekends for folks. Like I am the first to say I am working way too much. I also just love what I do, and I trust so much that I'm on the right path, as much as I'm the first to say I'm terrified. And like, yeah, so doing something like the HERS conference and deciding to just like full send and totally overcommit myself. Like, oh my God, I had like a mere little panic attack yesterday where I was like, wow, this was a decision. But I know that it's worthwhile because for me, so much of this is like all about community. Will I feel this for the next coming weeks? Yes, for sure. Will my clients feel this? I hope not. For the most part, we're kind of in a bit of a transition mode where we're also like all of my clients were basically in audit all of Q4, which was brutal. And so luckily that has kind of turned into a like, hey, we're going to like recover for like a month or two. And now we're just absolutely going to hit the ground running. And so I'm getting like kind of renewed energy of like, hey, I'm actually just going to be like full in on like really heads down work. But yeah, I've decided to invest in things because I just am really passionate about this stuff. So yeah, like was this a bit of a whirlwind? 100%. As I'm sitting here in the last session and we've got like 30 minutes left, I'm super proud of the fact that we pulled this off. So yes, thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, I'm the first to say, like, you'll hear me say this. I know my team members that have been able to join over the last couple of weeks, I'll be the first to be like, hey, I'm a super risky startup. And unfortunately, it does mean my personal life and the financial decisions that are happening out of that are actually unfortunately going to impact my startup, which sucks and is out of my control. And, you know, I will reshape and like come through with a new plan and we'll pivot. And I think the flexibility I know that somebody else mentioned of like being a founder, I think it's not for the weak. I think these are very strong people that end up wanting to be entrepreneurs, and they're usually quite brave. I also think there's something very humbling about being the first to being like, "Hi, I'm not doing well." You know, and I think there's a human element about it because then, yeah, I mean, I've had, you know, when folks such as Brian, I think has known way more about my personal life than anybody else, mainly because occasionally, like, my goodness, like we've done wellness checks before when we were supposed to record. So again, for me, it's especially like when I pivoted from being in-house to then going to being someone's consultant, there was a culture shift for me that I had to get used to. You know, suddenly I am at a different arm's length. I can't speak my mind in the same way that I might have when I was in-house and had additional protections as an employee. It's a lot easier for your clients to just cut the consultants. So building that relationship with folks has been really important. And again, I'm absolutely figuring it out as I go. And so I'm having a lot of fun with it, but it is scary.
Good scary though, right?
For now.
So I have a lot of the same, and it's funny because Marianne can't see me, but I'm looking at her. So
I can see
we
you.
have so we do the same thing. We do our wellness checks when it should have been a podcasting time and kind of reset. But I love working with Marianne because Marianne is like she's kind of the yin to the yang because when she's down, I'm up. Thankfully, this is how it goes. When I'm down, she's up. But we're always like, get
Yeah,
it,
similar.
get it. We're gonna get this. Let's go. Stop thinking like this. We're gonna think positive. But I mean, my mother just moved back home. She was staying with me for a long time. Which if you're caring for one of your elderly parents, it's a lot. It's a lot mentally. It's a lot physically a lot of times, and it's a lot of investment in time. So that happened. I'm having some financial troubles too that I'm going through, and that's kind of coming to an end and coming to a resolution, which I can see the end of, which is great. But I think uh, one of the things I think about all the time is that if I hadn't been doing things on my own, and I came out of I had a global position in global high tech companies, super, super stressful. Every single one. I loved the work I was doing. I loved what I was doing, but I would get so frustrated because I couldn't drive anything, even though I had a global position with, with a product and a product team. So in this case, I can drive everything. I'm responsible for everything. I'm doing it, but I can also say like, I got to take my mom to the doctor, or I've got to go take care of this, or I need a break. I just going to take the dogs to the park. Let's go. And I can do it whenever I want and not have to answer to anybody. And having that freedom for me has given me the energy to keep going. Being able to, then being able to see when I help clients, because I can come in as a consultant and say, this isn't going to work. And let's talk about why it's not going to work. There's different solutions you can do. Maybe have you thought about marketing in a holistic way, which you need to, let's do it that way. So, I think I have a lot of the same feelings you have, and I think sometimes when all of them collide, there's all of this energy going on, and there's usually something that I can do anyway to be like, all right, it's time. We've got something big to reset it. That is my reset time. And I always really appreciate that too. So I think it's a balancing thing, but I am very grateful to have Marion to kick my butt and then be nice to me when I need it to.
Well, I'm grateful for you, but I sometimes question your choice of me because I also struggle with that. And I am a recovering perfectionist and workaholic. So I'm forever caught up in this stressful balance. But since I've become a founder, I think sometimes I feel like a full-time fractional. I say my services are fractional, but then I end up putting a lot more effort into it because I do like seeing the result. But how to balance that? I have three really critical boundaries for myself. Uh, if it if it's draining from my health, I can't do it. That's non-negotiable for me. Uh, I don't take on difficult clients anymore. That drains my joy. Uh, and then there are a lot of days that I'm just in survival mode, and I have to admit that and accept that. But it's if someone has a solution on this call, I'd love to hear it.
Karen, I'll let you go before I go because I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got a solution.
You-
Oh yeah.
I have to say the same thing Marion
Yeah.
said.
Not. Go ahead, Karen.
I got nothing, and it was difficult for me to give anyone advice. But I will say it my attitude really changed over the decades. So I definitely, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I worked 70-hour weeks for my client and then had to do all my other stuff in the third 40 hours of the week, which doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
And I was willing to do that. And one of the reasons I'm cruising towards retirement is because I basically just spent my 20s and 30s kicking my own ass. And I'm not giving that as advice because I missed out on a lot of fun people should be having in their 20s, 30s. I'm trying to have now, which is kind of nice. But I'm with Marianne. I'm no longer taking what I call toxic projects, even though I enjoyed doing turnaround projects. Like I just loved the satisfaction of helping people get back on the right path without telling them, okay, fire all your employees and hire a consulting firm. Like that's not the solution to that problem.
Right.
So, and I would say I'm sitting here right now on a podcast, have two big workshops due before Monday. And that means I'm going to be working all weekend on, and that's fine. This is a choice I made. But yeah, I'm still making those same mistakes.
And we appreciate that, Karen, that you would join us.
So, Brian, I would say my solution, I hope I don't get in trouble by opening my mouth to say this. I wanted to try something different about 7 years ago. Yeah, it was right before COVID. You know, when I went into COVID, that changed everything for me. And coming out of it, like my strategy has not been the same and it's been exciting. So what I wanted to do is and my degree is organizational psychology. So I wanted to work with other up and coming people who are getting their master's and PhD and wanting to go and make a difference in the workplace, you know, analytics, leadership, all this stuff, and like bring them together and then understand how those generations, different generations operate in the workplace. And as I kept getting older and older and, you know, being in close to 50 now, like I really began to realize the need for like mentoring and connecting with generations underneath me and then helping them to be successful, meaning like success is not just teaching, but they actually start taking projects, they start doing things, teaching them some of the things that I've been doing for years. And what I found is I have a couple of developed teams that are ready at any time to take on some of these great tasks. And so I feel like it's getting a little bit lighter for me because it was heavier in the beginning doing all the work myself. And now that I've really started bringing in these different individuals from different generations, it's really like taken a load off. And I feel like I'm more of a strategic thinking type of person now and like making sure that they all are able to do some of the work that I'm getting. And I think and I've been through divorce, like life has happened throughout all that time. So having those different people beside me to work with me and then release work to them has been such a blessing because Now I feel like, okay, I'm trying to see seven different streams of different types of industries that I'm consulting with. And then this person's great for this one. This person's great for that one. And what does it look like for them to go past me? And, at some point I'm going to cruise to retirement. Like I'm actually seeing that's going to happen one day. Well, who's going to take the mantle after me? Like that's on my heart a lot these days. It's not just the work because I love the work. That's why I
Yeah.
love what I do, but I can't just be about that. I need to make sure that others are around me doing some of this great work too.
Yeah, that's
So,
amazing.
so
Yeah.
Gene, are you saying that I need a psychologist, an
Everyone needs,
organizational
yes, they
psychologist?
need a psychologist in the
I've heard
pocket,
that
just like we need a
before.
lawyer.
I've heard that before. Okay.
Yeah. Things you don't necessarily ever want to need, but when you need them, you need to know you've
Right.
got a good one.
And it's funny, I got into IO psychology because I wanted like business, but I wanted to be psyched about it too. And I wanted to, when do we go crazy in business when we're very successful? Why are CEOs so rude and
Yeah.
interesting, their personalities? And so that part of me as a psychologist, it's organizational psychologist. So yeah, if
Mhm.
you ever need someone to talk to, I love that kind of stuff. I love breaking that stuff down for you. And yes, so I am that guy if you ever need someone to talk to.
Excellent.
There we go, building the network. I will make an appeal to anybody that's online watching us right now that if you have any questions, now's a good time to throw them in there so we can catch them before the end of the session. We've got a 15-ish minutes left at this point. One thing I've picked up on through this conversation so far that I want to maybe shine a light directly on and get your impressions on is, and Milo, I'm going to point at you again. You're fond of saying it's me, myself, and I, but it's not. That there is a network, there is a community, there are other founders that you can lean on. You've got friends, you've got family. Like there's a lot of people around there. Your clients in a lot of shade. Mentorships, whether it's you being mentored or you mentoring, building those connections help you through this process. They're there to help you get through that. And so I guess I'm interested in any reflections any of you have on that, and maybe putting a little extra focus on how you pick those people. How do you pick the people that you decide to put into your startup, your founder journey, to ensure that they'll be there to help you and not necessarily to drag you down, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll say community is something that's very powerful for founders. And it's something that I'm actively trying to build out for friends within. I'm very fortunate. I think the thing that I've taken away from our venture together from Socializing Security is that, when our network of individuals we brought on, who have come and socialized with us on incredible topics, when they heard that I was like, hey, I'm doing it. I'm going to go be my own boss, and I'm not going to work for anybody else. And they were all like, yes. They were like, yes, you're ready for it. It was like actually really surprising. The feedback that I got from our Socializing Security guests, they were like, 100%. How can I help? Who can I introduce you to? And it wasn't just like, oh, look at my LinkedIn. I swear to God, please never give me that recommendation. Also, folks, never do that. That is outdated advice. I was having friends being like, hey, I'm going to connect you with so and so. And hey, and again, for me, I was fortunate. My first clients basically all came out through word of mouth referrals where they were like, hey, if you want to talk compliance, this is the girl to do it with, and she's going to help you figure it out. And, I will say, like, I am in a weird spot. And so I went all in on my startups basically and just like turned around and basically just like invested most of my money back into my business. And so like that's a very scary place to be. I feel excited about it. I'm definitely like, I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like I really feel that. But it does mean I do have to lean on my community more often and ask for help. And that's not easy for me at all. I have a hard time like admitting I'm struggling or admitting I'm late. Oh my gosh, the amount of like deliverables I've had that have been passed due lately, like it breaks my heart when I have to tell a client, like, I'm so sorry, like I'm behind. And so like, I'm hopeful that that'll change over the coming weeks and months as I, have more space to actually just like focus on work. And, I mean, it's also like, I think it's really human to like also shine a light, even with your clients. Like, it's okay occasionally to be like, my clients know that I'm going through a really hard personal thing. And they know that they're like, hey, like for the most part, they were like, how can we support? Like we've got you, like, you know, and that's really nice. I've had that relationship with them, but also then again, having people like Brian in my corner, I'm very grateful for. And my goodness, like, you know, when a year ago when I got like fired unexpectedly, this guy was like, "Hey, I've got a conference badge for you right now. You're going to come to Vegas with me and we're going to have fun." And like literally that was the week after I think I got terminated. And somehow I was, you know, at a conference, you know, as like basically a buddy of Rubric, and I was so grateful, you know, and those are things that like I've had friends actively like go out of their way to help. And again, it's just like I'm not alone. I know that. Y'all saw some of my family members very actively at the HERS conference today. So like I'm super fortunate. I'm just surrounded by wonderful people. So, you know, I'm not going to fail. I know that. If, you know, I'm going to be successful because I have surrounded myself by people that are also lifting me up. I think that's something that I have had to think through strategically. Sometimes I do network with professionals and they're super negative, or they're kind of just like, "Oh, woe is me," or "This is really tough." And like I'm not feeling like lifted up by the conversation. And I've kind of had to be like, "Hey, maybe this isn't a person I need to surround myself with at the moment." Cause like I need more like, woo, I need like woo girl energy. I need like people that are ready to like party alongside me and like figure out how we're gonna do it, as opposed to people that are just like, "Oh, like everything is hard." Cause otherwise like I'm gonna lean into that and I don't want to do that. So for me, it's also surrounding myself with people that are like championing my like success and also just want to just help.
I agree with that. And one of my ways of doing it, so if anyone is like me and absolutely, of course, having to go introduce yourself to people or go by yourself to an event and walk up to someone and ask them what they do. I found a really good simple trick for this is you find the people who know all the people.
Yeah.
When I know all the people, I don't mean virtual networking, have, you know, multiple LinkedIn friends and are always be closing, always be networking. Not that person. Person whose job who naturally introduces people because, hey, you got to meet this interesting person over here. And so I think, you know, you mentioned Tech Field Day. Of course, the people there are like my network, not my form, my list of friends and hundreds of friends went from, you know, a couple dozen to hundreds of people that I see at events, that I help, that I can ask them something for me, and I'll do that for them. So what clicks for me is you have to be the going in contacts. If that's not your persona, you just need to know people who do that, who feel comfortable doing it and are very good at it, and do favors for them.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's been big for me too, because I'm one of the more introverted people I know, and I had to do that this week earlier. Is I had to walk up to a bunch of booths and just be like, "Okay, I've got this random thing I need to talk to somebody about, and I know nobody here. I know nothing about your product, but I need to know this." And that takes a lot of energy for someone like me.
It does. It does. Courage. It takes me courage.
But
I'm a
you know,
high
those connections are huge. Sorry, Gene, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm a high extrovert. It takes a lot of courage for me just to be quiet. But
I was
I
thinking
work
the
on it.
same
I
thing.
work on it so much. It has made a big difference in being able to hold clients, because sometimes, you know, I deal with a lot of introverted clients, and it's fine. I'm high extrovert, and I learn when to project that energy out there and not always be going 100 miles, knowing how I feel, because I always say it. I say that jokingly, but my thought on what you said, I think about systems. So what helped me to be successful is I love understanding how systems work. So a good example, when I really started out in the beginning, I realized I didn't want to build alone. So I remember bringing in a colleague, and you know, we talk to people. I'm a high extrovert, right? So I'm going to pay her good money to do her part. She did like the HR part of my consulting group, and amazingly, that didn't last. I thought we were going to be together forever. So one thing I learned in business as well is like sometimes heartache or things happening, if you can get through that, it teaches you how to navigate tougher things, right? But if you're the type of person you never want to go through anything and you're so adverse to adversity, good luck, because as a founder, you're going to go through that. But when that person left me, what I realized from that is, okay, the next person that came, I learned how to have these people come around me to do whatever I needed at the next level, and learn how to be okay with that. One of the bigger things that helped me as a founder too is that I hated rejection. I did not like when people ghost me. If I message you on LinkedIn and you don't say anything, if you connect with me and you don't say hi, I was just like offended. Like, how dare you not, or people don't get back to me. I did some executive coaching and training on my program that really worked on my inner critic. And kid you not, once I really realized what my issues were, it was easy for me to like, okay, delete the message, Gene, if that person's not, or just disconnect from that person on LinkedIn. I learned how to just keep things moving in a way that has my energy up and do not focus on things that brings my energy down. Um, Lastly, I had an opportunity. It was like $8 million that this project was going to be on, and I was not the senior consultant. I'll just say that. The other person was like, I think we should do this. I was like, no, please, let's not do that. I went what they said. We did not get the contract. That could have just killed me. That night I had a migraine. I'm like, that could have been a lot of money for me, right? But what I did, I overcame it. I said, okay, I'm going to work everything myself, then give it to this person just to get it to the person that needs to approve it. I'm not no longer going to be in a position to where I can lose $8 million again. Kid you not. Everything after that was very successful. So just being able to make those quick adaptations like in the moment with people and realize where you're good at, where's your energy at, and what you're great, it makes a huge difference. To where it's like people today are still connecting with me and doing projects with me, but they don't get to me the way they used to. I understand their limitations and my limitations, and that helps me to be more successful.
That's really, really awesome way to put it. I was really lucky before I started out. I had a job coach that helped me. I had a job coach because I was having such a hard time at one of these great big global companies, just the politics of it. Because I'm also an extrovert and I get to a point, I'm like, nope, this is complete BS. It should be this way. I have a hard time holding myself back sometimes. So it's not great for an enterprise situation. But she helped me a lot through that and helped me, when I made the decision that I wanted to go and start my own thing, she was there. And then very smart. She's here in Austin. She's great. Um, she is a I don't know if she's a psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever. She was in tech, got laid off because she couldn't stand it all and decided she wanted to go and fix all the broken people in tech. So she understands the tech piece of the challenges. This is why, I've stayed with her for so long. But she kept telling me, you're going to see the same people. Don't think it's going to be you're getting rid of these people. You're going to see the same types of people as your clients. And who boy, she was right. And one of the pieces of advice she gave me is like, you are a pirate. You are a fractional founder. You are getting the money and you're getting out of there. Be a pirate. So sometimes when I start having these, those same back and forths, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm a pirate. They can do what they want to. Let's get the money. And then I just focus on the project, get in, get out. And it's a way, probably a dumb way for me to think of it, but I think of it that way. And it's much easier on the client and on me because they're getting what they paid for. I'm not getting taken advantage of. I don't have to go fix all the things, which was a problem when I was in an enterprise situation, right? So we fixed the one thing they're paying me for, and that's it. And we're gone. So you said you ain't got that professional coaching. I think that professional coaching is just, if we were to have stayed and gone up the ladder in these corporations, we would have had leadership coaching and training and all the rest of it. I think you definitely have to, it's well worth that investment in yourself to have somebody that is on your side in that type of professional environment to get you through. Because if I look back at my time as a founder, I started my stuff up in September of 2019, and then COVID hit.
Yep.
And I didn't qualify for any of the COVID relief money because I hadn't been around that long. But it all ended up working out, figured it out, tried to learn how to do all this setup here with the broadcasting and like, I don't want to do, that's not what I'm doing, but it's a nice COVID thing, I guess. And so that was all fine. And then everything was going great until ChatGPT released their first thing. And founders are like, well, we just get an intern to do marketing and use ChatGPT. We don't need to pay anybody to do our strategy. And what do you say to that? There's nothing you can say to that. So the whole industry really was devastated in the beginning. Now lots of clients are coming back. They want someone that can use the new tools along with getting their stuff done faster. That's what they're looking for, that experience with building the strategy, but also with understanding the marketing ways to do it. So it's coming back again. So it's you just do not know. You can have everything planned out. Who plans for a pandemic?
Yeah.
Who plans for a complete change in the way people do business? I
I
didn't
know some
plan
risk
for it.
officers that might.
Anything can happen.
For those of you that have listened to Socializing Security before, you'll be familiar with, we like to close it out with a question that I had a CTO a couple years ago say that he felt like the fight for privacy was dead, and that now that it was the fight for security. So we don't have much time for everybody to build this out, but I would love for y'all to just kind of respond. Do you feel like there is a valuable fight for privacy these days? Is it really security, or is it something else in your opinion? Gina, you want to go first?
I think we have to secure our privacy. So I think that to give up on privacy is to give up on a lot of things in society, and especially the professionals in this realm, we have to fight for everybody who might not have a say.
Yeah.
Love that. Karen?
So I refuse to say it's dead because it's so good to me. But I would say, like, I agree. Like, you can't have your privacy right. No one's paying attention to the security. And if no one's paying attention to where your data is and where it's being treated and where it's in it. So Aaron and me wants to say it's not dead.
What about you, Gene?
It's never going to die. Don't believe what they say. It's always going to be around. I love to always, when even ChatGPT, when these new things come on, I love to investigate and figure out, okay, where's the human aspect of, and how are we going to keep things secure, and what is Big Brother doing? Like these are things that I have lived in that world. People don't realize, like, I've been working government stuff for the last 15 years while doing my independent stuff, so I've seen it quite a bit of a lot. So it's not going away. I love the perception how it plays out though. And I don't get into politics, but as things swing back and forth, in business, there's opportunities to focus on one extreme to the other, but we're still serving and helping our country and these organizations. So it's never going away. Yeah.
Marion, what about you?
So no, I don't think it'll ever die. I refuse to say it's dead. And I think the more and more as we get different technologies, we need them both to even just secure our identity. And I think that's where privacy and security both can be stronger, and we can take more lead because our identity is actually tied to privacy and security in this age of deep fakes and what AI can and cannot do and synthesize data.
Oh, I love that. I love that focus on the identity, and I love how universally this group of founders, where we spent a long conversation on how do you prioritize your time, we're all like, no, absolutely. There's
This is so worth it.
both of them worth it. Let's go. So yeah, really, really appreciate that, and really appreciate you all joining. It was a big group, and it turned out really awesome because we got some very well-rounded thoughts on this. So really appreciate you all. We'll put contact information in links, whether it be show notes or it's on the QR codes that you can see on social media and on the screen share for this if you're watching this live. So
Yeah, definitely reach out to everyone. I think this is not a shy bunch as much as I think all of us are willing to always have a conversation too about, meeting with individuals, especially entrepreneurs that are thinking about making the jump and have questions. I'm sure I'm going to volunteer all of us for that. So feel free to reach out to everybody on LinkedIn, connect with them, let them know that they were incredible. And thank you all so much. I'm so grateful. Again, I'm looking back at a day of incredible content. And Brian, my goodness, thank you so much for being here. What an incredible day together for us to be socializing with one another, with other experts, doing something that, for me, I'm really grateful. One, everybody showed up and was like happy to be here. And to me, this was a huge success. So I'm really grateful for everyone, for everybody's time, and welcome to the HERS conference. I hope this is a format we'll continue to do in the future. So humans and equity, risk, and security.
Yep.
I think that closes us out.
Okay.
You guys.
Thanks everybody that's joined us, and a special thanks to all the guests that have joined us to do these panel sessions. This has been a fantastic day. So,
And to Natalie and Louisa in the background, who have also been helping in the background, making
Natalie.
sure
Thank
we
you,
look
Louisa.
good. So thank y'all so much. And yeah, reach out to us. And then again, we're hoping to socialize with all of y'all again on upcoming episodes of our podcast, Socializing Security. So I don't
You
think
guys
this-
can come on ours.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. We're happy to be there. So thanks, y'all. Have a great weekend.
well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Socializing Security. We hope you learned a thing or two with us.
If you'd like to continue socializing with us on this topic or have feedback, we'd love to hear from you on LinkedIn or social media. Just search for Socializing Security. Or you can email us at info@socializingsecurity.com.
Until next time, stay social and stay secure.